your approach working with your clients, the planner, your photographers. You've got potentially 3 or more timelines kind of being made, and then on the day of, they kind of all come together. Go into some detail again on just kind of your overall thoughts and process on making sure that everyone's together as a team on the day of.
Yeah, absolutely. We always like to reach out to the planner, to the venue if we're not familiar with it, introduce ourselves, ask if we can do a walkthrough, have a chat with the coordinator, kind of gauge how flexible the coordinator is, if they're open to input. Again, because there's usually a couple things that I see from a DJ perspective on timelines. The one example is often on a timeline, it will say, cut the cake, dancing resumes. And you and I know that more often than not, the cake is our nemesis. It's going to kill the dance floor. People have this irrational fear that if they're not seated at their table, they're not going to get their cake. And so sometimes we can keep the energy high, or if they don't want to announce the cake, but it's unrealistic to assume that we're going to stop everything, send people over, cut the cake, and immediately pack the dance floor again. So yes, I like to look at those things and then give input on how we can optimize it to make everything as seamless as possible. And checking in the day of, introducing ourselves to the photographers. And you know, a lot of photographers get thrown under the bus by DJs, or we suddenly just announce something and maybe the coordinator is busy and no one gave the photographer a heads up that we've moved up the toast. So I always like to just say, hey, if you need anything, I also have a copy of the timeline if you don't have one, so you don't have to bother the coordinator. Come check in with me. And also, I will always look for you before we do anything. And like, I see such a wave of relief come over the photographers, the videographers, because that they have to explain later to the couple why they didn't get that $1 million shot. Right. If suddenly I just said, and now the first dance. So yeah, I think it's all of those things. And then doing a final call just the days prior to the event, just to check in with everybody again, and setting us up for success and making sure we're all functioning well as a team. We already mentioned this, but everyone else is kind of focused on their part of the day. But I really feel like the DJ is, with all due respect, again, we don't get into power struggles, but we're kind of the second planner, at minimum, the master of ceremonies. When people hear the word MC, they think, yo, 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 but Master of Ceremonies is really the host. They keep the timeline running smoothly and efficiently. So, yeah.